Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am Chase Corrington, and this is the Chase Corrington YouTube channel, where we seek to achieve and maintain happiness through enlightenment. And today I wanted to bring to you some of the top ways that we can live a happier, healthier, more successful life with nature as our example. And if that's something you're interested in, I suggest you continue watching this video. Now today, the tree. Dropping the idea of the tree on you, ladies and gentlemen, the metaphorical tree of life. Ways that we can live a happier, healthier, more successful life with nature as our example. And so think of trees, and then think of your life. The two might seem to be totally unrelated, or the two might seem to have no relevance to one another. Like, what the hell do trees have to do with life? And so, keep in mind, we're talking about finding your path. And we're talking about the comparison of how nature works and how that example can help us to understand how to live a better life. And so, they have no relevance to one another, to most of us in our mind, trees and life. What do they have to do with each other? And if you're wondering if I'm driving when I do these videos, I'm not driving. I'm parked. I'm being safe, ladies and gentlemen. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Sorry about the weird lighting. It is what it is. But so we're getting into this. The comparison of how nature works and how it can be an example of how we can live happier, healthier, more successful lives, which is what we all want to do. So, to have no relevance to one another, life and trees, when actually we should hope that our life has a lot of similarities to that of a tree. And we should hope that our life can be a mirror or a reflection to that of a tree. And so, I'll give a couple of examples of why I feel that way. A tree is very much so a mirror to our lives, ladies and gentlemen. It's important to be repeated because it's important to understand. This blew my mind when I figured it out. And so, think of how a tree grows. Think of how a tree grows. If you step on it when it's first out of the ground, if it survives, it'll have a huge bend in it. Now, think of that as a metaphor for struggles in early childhood. We've all stepped on young trees or small plants, I'm sure, and we've all seen trees in nature that grow up and then all of a sudden have a weird curve in them. There's some trees that are going wild. And it's amazing how that can be a metaphor, how if we go through struggles in our early life, how we have bends in our life. So if we get metaphorically stepped on while we're little, it will give us a bend in our life. So how straight can we grow? How many of us have a bunch of bends in our trunk? Zigzags. How many of us are zigzag trees or have zigzag lives because we've had so many struggles and so many things that we've had to deal with and go through? But that doesn't mean that the tree stops trying to grow. And that doesn't mean that we should stop trying to grow, ladies and gentlemen. That doesn't mean the tree stops trying to grow. It just means that it works even harder to reach the light. Now that should be a metaphor for all of our lives. No matter how many struggles you go through, no matter how many times you get stepped on, bent sideways, zigzag trunk, that doesn't stop you from reaching over from out of the shadow to reach the light and grow to where you need to go, ladies and gentlemen. It's a metaphor for life. And so now think of how a tree grows branches, and how if you trim certain branches, the thicker ones or the stronger ones will grow even stronger. It is much like our focuses or our pursuits in life. So, where in life, when you can have too many focuses or too many pursuits, none of them, or at least not very many of them, will grow very strong. And I mean, think of the trees that you see out in nature. A lot of trees naturally grow with just tons and tons of little branches, compared to if you manage your branches or your different pursuits in life, or where you put your energy into, just like a tree using the sun's energy to grow its branches, where you put most of your energy into is important, because if spread out too much, you'll have a hard time growing strong in any one branch or any one pursuit. And I'm thinking of this based on you see the natural trees with tons of branches, and then you see the branches that we trim and, I don't want to say take care of, the trees that we grow. When you trim certain branches, the big ones get stronger. So you see trees with tons of branches, or you see trees with 4 or 5 really strong branches. And I'm not saying that nature is wrong. I'm just trying to make a point with a metaphor here, ladies and gentlemen. So, if you spread too much, you'll have a hard time growing strong in any particular branch. But, if you manage your branches well, you might end up with a very mighty tree. And, a very mighty tree can certainly weather the storm. And how many of us need to weather a storm in our lives every now and then, ladies and gentlemen? I'm sure I do. I'm sure I have, and I'm sure many of you would agree with that. And so we need a mighty tree that can weather a storm. And so, ladies and gentlemen, don't we all need to make it through with a firm foundation, with strong roots? And that gets me to the next point about the trees losing their leaves every year. I've heard it said it's not because they're weak, that the weather is too much for them to handle or they can't take it. It's because they're smart. It's because they're thinking, all right, if I'm going to grow new branches, then I'm going to have to take a few months off here. And in relation, we all know how if you don't give yourself reasonable breaks every now and then, here and there, we can easily become overwhelmed, overworked, stressed out, burnt out, etc. And so, they're not lazy, even though they're taking a break, and it doesn't mean that they're slacking off or just not doing nothing, or that they're just wasting time. Nature doesn't do that. They're intelligent, or they're using the time, like, oh, the environment's changing, the weather or the situation in our life is getting less opportunistic for us to continue to grow at an intense level. So let me adapt. Let me adjust. Let me focus on my root system or our core values. Let me make that more stable. Limiting beliefs, our self-identity, or let's make that stronger, ladies and gentlemen. The foundation, the roots, our core beliefs, or our core values, our core knowing, our true understanding, or overstanding. Let's make that stronger, so then we can grow taller, wider, and serve from abundance. So if we put work into building a strong foundation, so when spring comes around, or the time in our lives where, the time in our lives comes around where we're ready to bloom, and we're ready to grow, and we're ready to do great, and we're ready to gain abundance, but then share the seeds of the fruits of our labor, or the fruit off of our branch, and help seed to help the other trees grow, or help use this to help other people in their lives, and help affect the lives of the people in the world around us in a positive way. At the same time, we need to know that it's not perpetual spring. We're not always going to be blooming all the time. And so, there must be down times and up times. There must be the great times and the tougher times. But if we make the most of our down times intelligently, and we make the most of, our foundation and building our roots, so that when it does come time to grow again, we'll be prepared to take full advantage of our ups. Society has got us trained to think we all should be greatly successful all the time. And it's just work, 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 and as fast as you can go, and do more, and if you're not successful right now, then you're not doing good. But as nature has shown us, ladies and gentlemen, there must be balance. It's the yin and the yang. You must have both to have either. And ladies and gentlemen, this was a profound revelation to me as I sit out and stare at trees right now, thinking of how we need to grow better branches. We need to focus where it's important in our life. And we need to build a firm foundation when we know it's not the right time to grow and bloom. Because we're not going to be blooming and growing, abundance and fantastic, successful life all the time. There's going to be down times, and we got to realize and be intelligent that we got to take a little time off, and we got to rest, and we got to get comfortable, and we have to build stronger within ourselves, so that then when it is springtime again in our lives, we'll be ready to bloom, and we'll be ready to grow wider, taller, stronger, and share with the world in more abundance because of it. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Chase Corrington YouTube channel, where we seek to achieve and maintain happiness through enlightenment. If you get value from the content that I provide, then please consider subscribing. If you like this video, then give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like this video, give it a thumbs down. And let me know. Make your voice heard. Don't be one of the people that sits there and thinks to themselves and then doesn't do anything about it. Because nobody's ever going to know if you don't make your voice heard, ladies and gentlemen. If the video was off with my voice, that could have happened. I've seen it skip as the recording's been going. I apologize for that. But got to get the content out there. So ladies and gentlemen, I'll be back in the future with some more interesting topics to throw your way.